Like to invite our next speaker, who is a BTech graduate from 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗲 Mumbai and is serving in various capacities as national and global level in ISKCON. He is the director of Govardhan Ecovillage, a united national world tourism organization. He's an inspirational speaker and has the boon of presenting Vedic knowledge in a contemporary and enticing way. We welcome Prabhu Guru Gauranga Das ji to share his wisdom of pearl on what looks like the way forward in education. Thank you.
Honorable Minister Shri 𝗙𝗶𝗸𝗲 ji, other dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and privilege to be here speaking on a very important topic of the Education Summit. In 2015, Goldman Sachs came with a report. What would be the infrastructure investment required for India to develop from 2015 to 2025? And they said India would need $1.3 trillion to develop our infrastructure. Then the question arises from where that money would come. And they said $800 billion out of that would come from family savings. India has one of the largest quantum of gross domestic savings. When we speak about education, education comes from the Latin word educare, which means to bring out that which is within. And when we speak about education, as Honorable Minister has beautifully presented, we are looking at an all-round development of the personality of the student, which also includes how a person understands how he can relate with others and be part of a family. I was giving a talk in a program in a college in America in Ohio, Athens. After my lecture, one student came up to me and started speaking to me in Hindi. I asked him, "You look like an American student, but you are speaking in Hindi?" He said, "Yes, I'm American." I said, "How do you speak Hindi?" He said, "I grew up in a very opulent household in California. When I was 16 years old, 17 years old, I asked my dad, 'You gave me everything in life except the experience of family.' And therefore, now at the age of 17, I want to know what is family because you were divorced when I was only 2 years old." Today, I was shocked to know that a country like Luxembourg has 88% divorce rate, Spain has 65% divorce rate, France has 55% divorce rate, Russia has 51% divorce rate, America has 46% divorce rate. The global divorce rate is 44%, but the lowest divorce rate in the whole world is India at only 1%. So his father told him, "If you want to experience what is family, go to India." He took a flight, came to India, went to a family in one of the towns and told them, "I just want to be a paying guest in your house for 2 years. Why? To experience what is family. I got a lot of other education, but I want to experience and learn what it means to interact in a family and experience staying with a family. You make me a paying guest just for 2 years. If you allow me to experience your family for 2 years, I will give you every month a rent of 1 lakh rupees. That family said, "Why 2 years? Stay whole life." And they said, "If you have other friends who want to experience family, call them also." So dear friends, I would like to express that we as a country have something unique to offer to the whole world, because teachers are expected to have three qualities. First is erudition, which is expertise in the subject. Second, they should have the ability of application. And as Honorable Minister said, that the focus is growing more in the direction of application. But the third and most important is transformation. And therefore, many times people feel that the purpose of education is simply to get employment. One of the famous Belgian economists came with a data that from the year 180 to 1000 AD, India was contributing 36% of the world's GDP. By the year 1500 AD, India was contributing 27% of the world's GDP. By 1800, it came down to 15%. And by the British influence, it came down in 1900 to only 1% of the world's GDP. So dear friends, till 1700 years, India was leading the world economically. But India was leading the world economically along with having a very balanced sociological, environmental, and holistic and harmonious society. That is to be considered. That means our traditional education system and the Indian knowledge system had the ability to create wealth. And that's why people from across the world were coming here searching for that wealth. They took away the wealth, but they did not realize what was the foundation for that wealth. So this is a very important element to understand, that when all of you as teachers are sitting here, please know what is your main purpose as teachers. A raw student is coming in front of you and you have to do something with that student. What is that? You are creating the identity of the student. An identity of a student is established at three levels as per the Indian knowledge system. First, you develop that student's intention, that child's intention. When the intention of the child is properly established, based on that intention, the child will experience the second level of identity is interactions. Based on the identity, you interact with others. I'm a doctor, you interact with others in a certain way. I'm an engineer, you interact in a certain way. You're a politician, you will interact in a certain way. So identity determines the interaction, and the interaction will determine the inner experience. And therefore, as per the Indian knowledge system, there are 4 levels of identity which can be created. And in the Bhagavad Gita, it is called Tamogun, Rajogun, Sattvagun. Based on these. Based on Tamogun, the lowest level of identity is created, the intention. The lowest level of intention is intention based on fear. When there is intention based on fear, there is insecurity. One of my friends went to a conference, somebody gave him a business card, he saw the card, the name was written below the name, educational qualification was written, PhD, BF. He said, what is this? He said, PhD but fail. He said, what does it mean? He said, my father wanted me to be PhD. Why? Because my cousin was a PhD. And someone else was a PhD. So I enrolled, but I dropped out after 2 years. But then they said, you must attend conferences. When I went to conference, I thought, if PhD is not there, they will not allow me inside. So I put PhD, but to be honest, I added BF. But you know what? Most people think this BF is a qualification beyond PhD. You are the first person who's asking me the reality. So nowadays, even all of you have experienced how even children go through fear because of social comparisons. The intention, the lowest level is fear. Second, desire based on Rajogun. I want to get this, I want to do that, I want to outdo this, I want to compete. I have been in ICUs in hospitals where I have met people who have got heart attacks, and I said, why? Said, oh, someone who was 2 levels junior to me was promoted above me. So when there is desire, there is anxiety. The third level, so when a person is operating at the level of fear and desire, the experience will be filled with anxiety and stress. And people say nowadays stress levels are growing. 370 people are committing suicide in India every day. 300 million people across the world are experiencing stress disorders. Why? Because if your intention is inspired by fear and desire, the outcome has to be anxiety. But the traditional Indian knowledge system would always encourage that the intention with which we should work should begin from the third level, which is duty. And therefore everybody has heard Krishna saying in Gita, karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Act as a sense of duty. And therefore if families operate out of a level of fear and desire, splits will happen. But previously our joint family system was operating. Why everybody could stay in such a small place, so many people? Because there was a sense of duty. When there is a sense of duty, there will be a sense of sacrifice. So as teachers, you have to teach your students not just information, but also how to be dutiful and how to have sense of sacrifice. And therefore, above the sense of duty is the sense of love. The intention, the highest is love, which is service without selfish consideration. In every relationship, there is scarcity, impediment, discomfort, and unhappiness, but still the relationship continues. That is known as love. So today, there is a great resignation, there is huge attrition. One of the biggest challenges the world is facing is retaining manpower and human resource. But the foundation of all that begins in your laboratory when the students are sitting in front of you as students in front of the teachers. So you have a great responsibility to give to society excellent products who actually can do significantly well. In 1811, the first English school was established in United Kingdom, for your kind information. Nowadays parents are in anxiety. English medium school, English medium school. But in 1811 was the first English school in UK. But in 1811, what was the situation in India? When the first English school was established in London, in India, in 1811, there were 732,000, 7,32,000 Gurukul in 760,000 villages. The British government put 2 people in charge of doing a survey of all of these schools and come with a report. What is the education scene in India in 1811? So Luther and Munro, both of them were appointed. Luther was given the responsibility of North India and Munro of South India. And both came with the report of the education scene in India in 1811. And the reports showed that in North India, there was 97% literacy rate and South India 100% literacy rate. Then Macaulay started the change and he wrote a letter to his father saying that through the education system I'm going to create, there will be people who will come out who will only be Indian in name but English in spirit. Fast forward 1930, there was another survey taken of Pan-India, of the education scene. What was the reports? Because by then, Macaulay had started inserting and various interventions had begun, disruption had begun. 4 things Macaulay did. First, banned Gurukuls. Second, banned Sanskrit. Third, set fire to some of the Gurukuls. Fourth, beat up the teachers. Fast forward 1930, what did the survey show of education? Only 162,000 schools existed, and only 7% of the boys and 6% of the girls had proper education facility. Therefore, let us not think that we did not have self-sufficient education capabilities. There were serious disruptions created. And therefore, our Indian knowledge system was always designed to help person go beyond pranamaya from annamaya kosh to pranamaya kosh, manomaya kosh, vijnanamaya kosh and anandamaya kosh. From the right identity to the right experience. And hence, I feel that this particular conference, which has been convened, is extremely important because today, English is spoken by 150 crore people across the world. Chinese is being spoken by 110 crore people across the world. But Hindi is spoken by not less than 60 crore people. And if you put all the Indian languages together, it is more than 150 crore. So therefore, we have to have a holistic approach towards education. And as teachers, all of you know, how can we take a student from the lower intentions of fear and desire to the higher intention of duty and love? It is only through education. It is only through this education that is possible, and only when the intention gets purified and gets transformed, then one can actually have holistic interactions. When there is holistic interactions, ability to tolerate, have humility, have determination, have discrimination, have purpose, have focus, have relationships, then only families can thrive. And only when families can thrive, the society will be restored to normalcy. And you will not have to remember good old days. And you will actually be able to have this. When the founder of ISKCON, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, was in London in 1975, one reporter asked him, "Swamiji, why did you come to London?" And Srila Prabhupada said, "For over 300 years, British looted India of gold, emeralds, rubies, jewels, but they forgot to steal the most powerful jewel of India, the Bhagavad Gita. I have come to give home delivery." Since then, ISKCON all over the world has distributed more than 55 crore Bhagavad Gitas. And sir, since you are the Honorable Minister for Environment and Climate Change, I am happy to share that in year 2009, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, inspired by teachings of Prabhupada and the Bhagavad Gita, inspired us to start the Govardhan Ecovillage in Palghar district, a district which is right next to Mumbai, the financial capital, but has an annual income per capita of only 27,000 rupees. There we established an eco-village which is centered around 3 principles of spirituality, sustainability, and social impact. We have created an entire village which is a replica of Vrindavan, several temples, but along with that, all the buildings we have created, it's a 120-room spiritual resort, but it is based on sustainability principles, accredited to United Nations Environment Program, United Nations Economic and Social Council, United Nations Biodiversity Council, United Nations Committee for Combating Desertification, and United Nations World Tourism Organization. And we are totally committed to following the UN 17 SDGs. And we would like to invite Honorable Minister for Environment and Climate Change to come. And United Nations has started a unique vertical in 2017. United Nations says we are a science and data-backed organization, but the way the climate change is going on, we will not be able to achieve the results by 2030 because people are not transforming their habits. With all our scientific analysis and presentation, people, transformation not happening, we are requesting the religious leaders across the world to support us. And United Nations started a special vertical in 2017 called UN Faith for Earth. And they requested the various religious leaders across the world to share, along with spiritual messages, message about mitigating climate change and telling people change your habits and lifestyle. And so in 2020, United Nations has appointed me a UN Faith for Earth counselor with the mandate to share the message of mitigating climate change. And therefore, as part of education system, I would also encourage all of you to share with the students the importance of respecting Mother Nature and preserving all of our ethos of respecting the environment and leading an environmentally harmonious life. And the third aspect which we are sharing in the Ecovillage is social impact, where in 120 villages across the Ecovillage, we are doing various kinds of interventions to break the cycle of poverty, including education, healthcare, livelihood, and rural development. So we call this spirituality, sustainability, and social impact, the S3 impact. And in tomorrow's education sector, every student must be given education and knowledge in such a way that they become spiritually absorbed, socially sensitive, and politically alert. Thank you all very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Gauranga ji, for such an insightful speech. We got to know about so many things that is happening around the world. And truly, just like our Honorable Chief Minister, even you focused on preserving our traditions. And here I would like to request Shri 𝗙𝗵𝗍 ji to kindly felicitate Gauranga ji. Thank you so much for giving your time from your very tight schedule and being present here. And it is absolutely right. I think it is time that we go back to our roots and understand the kind of strength that lies in the foundation of the Indian culture.